Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's Frank here again with another video. Basically, we're going to be going over strategies and how to place stuff on the marketplace. Enjoy. One thing that I've noticed in this game is all of these items are very similar and somewhat normalized as far as what you're going to be able to make from those items. Some of them require a lot more time. Some of them require less time, less energy, less time spent crafting or doing whatever it is to make those items. The one thing that I like to keep in mind is on cooking, simple for me is better. I like to be able to make the simple, quick products and put them on the market and get them sold quickly. I don't want to have the items sitting on the market for 2, 3, 4 days. It's not because I'm impatient. It's because you only have a finite amount of items you can put on the marketplace. And it costs you money to put them on in the first place. So the quicker they sell, the better it is for you in the long run. So these are my strategies. Obviously, different people are going to have different strategies, but this is kind of my strategy. I'll just give you kind of a walkthrough. I'm definitely not the richest person in the game. I don't have, I have millions of silver at this point in the different towns, but I, probably don't have more than anybody else on the upper tiers. I was on the upper tiers for money for a little while until I bought a bunch of my gear, which was kind of my plan. I didn't really want to quest and do a lot of XP farming to get my gear. So what I did instead was I decided I'd rather craft, make enough money that way, and just buy my gear, which is what I did. So anyways, these are kind of my market strategies and why some of the other videos that I have out there as far as making beer and the pet food work well for me. Obviously, your mileage may vary here. So the first thing you want to look at when you go to the marketplace, what I usually try to, kind of keep an eye on is under the cooking section, obviously, since that's what I'm focused on. But there's other things. If you're making housing items, that's a great thing to be making. If you're making housing items, these same rules kind of apply. So what I like to look at is two things on here, and the two important factors for any of these items regardless of money at this point, because remember, most of this stuff, like I said, is normalized. You can't control the highest and lowest price. That's all set in the game, so you're kind of dictated to be within those parameters that the game already sets. So the one thing that you do want to look at is how many accumulated trades, and that's this light blue number up here, like on beer. Right now, it's at 6,200,699,933, right? That's an important number. What that number means is how many trades have gone through since, I believe it's since the server went up, or at least since the latest patch, or it got reset, or whatever. I don't know exactly what the time on that is, but it's the amount of trades that have happened on that item since some event happened on the server. I'm pretty sure it's since what's in the server started, because that number's only grown since I've been in the game. The second number you want to look at is the second number, is the number below that is the registration count, and that is how many items are on the auction house or marketplace right now for that item. Now, what these two numbers tell you, and you notice they change as you're sitting there watching them, what these two numbers tell you is, one, how popular that item is, and two, how many people are trying to sell that item also at the same time. So an item that's very high, like beer, for instance, is a very high sought after item, and it's also a very high produced item. That's why one of my other videos was just about making beer. I think it's a good money maker because it's very simple. But what these two numbers tell you is, if you're looking at a value of roughly 1% or lower, somewhere around 1%, which is what beer is at right now, your item is going to sell fairly quickly. If you are at a much higher percent, it probably means that item is going to be on the marketplace for a longer period of time. It means that it's not as popular. And one of the things that I know that other people have said is when you look at these items, yes, you can make a lot of money on this Serendia special, right? It's 44,000 silver. Okay, great. And you can make a bunch of them in a batch or two. Problem is, it's at about 2% right now, which means it's probably going to sit on the market for a little while. Even if you put it at the lowest possible value, which is 44,000 right now, 44,600, it's going to sit there for a while. You can see there's already 97, 185 items at that price sitting on the auction house right now. So if you put one up for 44,650, like this guy, you're going to be sitting there until all of those sell before yours get sold. It's a little bit, it takes a little bit of time to sell those items. Granted, they do make you a lot of silver in the long run. So those two numbers are important, and what I've found is it is very important to look at kind of the difference between those two numbers. How much is sold and how much is on the market right now. Grain soup right now, probably a decent item to make. It's not very sought after. It's only 74,000 have been sold total, but right now only 129 are on the market. So you might be able to, sell a few of those there. The thing, and the reason that I recommend beer more than anything else, and cool draft beer, is because when you look at the numbers, it's way beyond anything else. I mean, even beyond milk tea, which is actually a really good item while you're leveling up, but I'm sure mostly if anybody, has leveled up in this game knows you're probably using milk tea at the time, all the time if you can. That isn't even 10%. It's about 10% of how much beer is sold in the game, because people always need beer for their workers. And if they're not making them themselves, which not everybody's a cook out there, you're going to be selling a lot of beer. That's mostly all I put on the auction house is beer. If you look at my registered items, I do have, some various items that have been sitting there for, God, I don't even know how long, and are probably expired at this point. But the beer that I put on there, if you look, this is beer I put on there probably, I don't know, maybe 4 hours ago, I guess it was. So it's 7 days, 4 hours, yeah, roughly. It's already sold. This one's in a midway settlement on the cool draft beer. You notice your beer usually sells a little bit faster than the cool draft beer, which goes along with the, theory that I was talking about on the previous page. The higher the item is, let me get back there. The higher the item accumulated trades is, the faster it's going to sell. So if you look at the cool draft beer, 450,000, there's 12,000 on the market right now. Not a great item. I mean, yeah, you're looking at, a fairly high percent for that one, but it does eventually sell. I put them on there only because I have tons of extra after I make large batches of beer. The other thing to keep in mind with these market strategies is you also want to determine what you like doing, obviously, as far as the crafting, but also how much time you want to invest in making those items. To make the Serendia special, or to make a lot of the more advanced, if you look at the advanced items, most of them are called special. Some special something, Balino special, Calpheon special. They are fairly difficult to create. It takes a lot of materials to create these things, and yes, they do go for a lot of money. You see these 116,000 for these Serendia specials, and these are the orange ones and not the yellow ones even. So they're going for a lot of money, and yes, you will get those, and yes, you will make a lot of money. The problem is the amount of energy that it takes and the amount of materials that it takes to make these things is a lot. And from what I've found is, in the end, it's about as much as you would make if you just made beer or something else. Granted, it's kind of boring making the same item, so making other items is fun. One of the other items that I like making is the beehive cookies, which is actually an ingredient in the Serendia special, I believe. The beehive cookies are great. They sell fairly quickly. Not a huge demand item, but you hardly ever see them on the market, and they sell up fairly quickly because what they do for you is they increase your weight limit, and they increase your fishing rank by +1 for 90 minutes. So it's actually a really good item for AFKers that like to pop a cookie and go AFK fishing for a while. Or even active fishing. If you wanted to actively fish, it's a good item, or almost kind of a necessary item to help if you needed that extra fishing rank while you're fishing. So I did like making the beehive cookies. Beehive cookies are fairly easy. I'll post the recipe up on the annotations when I get a chance here, but it's a fairly easy recipe. It sells for 9,000, roughly, somewhere between 9,000, 8 and 9,000, right? So that's a lot easier to make something quicker than to make something that's a lot more complex. My play style, I like to make the things that are a little bit easier. Personally, I think you can make more money probably in the long run by making some of the Calpheon specials and the Serendia specials. But it takes a lot more work, a lot more dedication, and a lot more energy on your character to be able to make those things. So the strategies, like I said, that I go with is look at what the item is accumulated, right? Look at what is on the market right now and kind of determine if it's going to be a fairly high turnover item, a high selling, quickly selling item, because those are the ones that you want to kind of get into. You really don't want your items sitting there for any period of time. Because like I said, it's going to eventually, stack up, and you're going to have too many registered items, and then you're not going to be able to put any new items on the market, which kind of kills any kind of crafting and trading. So the way that this game works, the market is not the same as just an open, completely open auction house where you can sell the item for whatever you want, and with good reason. And I actually think it works fairly well in this game. It keeps the inflated prices and the artificial prices very in check. You can't, get tons of money for one item that you would only normally be able to get a few, gold or silver for in a different game, and try to, buy out the market and kind of set up your own little scheme. So it actually works, I think, really well. And that's why selling beer, you're going to make a big batch of beer and be able to sell it fairly quickly, and it's going to be a pretty consistent price. I mean, I've noticed lately the price has actually gone up a little bit, and then it fluctuates and it goes back down. It just depends on how many people are out there making the item that you want to sell and how that fluctuates the price in the market. So keep those things in mind when you're putting these items on the market, and when you're planning on what you want to actually craft. One of my friends actually makes boats, and he notices as soon as he makes a boat, he puts it up on the auction house, boom, it sells. Million silver right there is what he usually ends up selling these things for. Minus the tax, you're looking at 700,000 silver profit on these things, which is pretty good. It just takes a long time to make those things. It's a lot of processing with the wood. It's a lot of time with the workers, getting them out, collecting the raw materials, processing those materials, and then creating the ship itself, and then putting it up on the auction house. What I found is almost everything in this game, like I said in the beginning, is very normalized. If you find, things that maybe make you a little bit more money than you normally were making, stick with it. If you find something else that makes you more money while you're crafting, or kind of combining doing two things, which is what I like to do. I'll try to cook when I have energy, and when I don't have energy, I'll either fish or maybe do some trade runs, which don't use any energy or very little energy, as long as you're not checking the marketplace too much. Doing those things kind of in conjunction, then your energy comes back, then you get back to cooking. Doing those things is going to net you a lot more gold than focusing on just one specific thing or making a special item. It's going to net you a lot more gold in the long run. Even questing, even going out once you have no energy, that's one of the things I did a lot of previously. I haven't done too much lately, but go out and quest when your energy is low. Questing doesn't usually cost any energy. Talking to some of the NPCs does, but going out and questing and making sure that you are maximizing your time, your profit and your efficiency in the game is a good way to do that. So hopefully you guys understand a little bit more how the market works. I'm trying not to rant too much, but keep it, try to keep it simple. Keep your items as simple as you want. as you get better and as you understand more of how the market works and how your crafting that you're dedicating, your characters to works, then maybe experiment more a little bit with the higher tier items like the specials and stuff like that if it's cooking that you're doing, or alchemy or whatever it is you're doing. Experiment with those things, see if that's worth the time investment that you have to put in. If it's not, like what I found, it wasn't for most of them. It wasn't worth the time investment. I just, make beer. Yeah, I'm artisan rank 3 right now. Probably be artisan rank 4 pretty soon, and I'm mostly making beer. A few other dishes, like I said, the beehive these and stuff, and some of the teas. So that's pretty much it. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.